Many years ago, the then Archdeacon of Dudley wrote me a reference for a job. It was a good reference and I got the job. But one sentence jarred on me. He wrote, "David is not ambitious." It was meant to be a good thing. After all, aren't Christians meant to be humble? As a member of the Franciscan family, I know that humility, love and joy are the three notes of our order. Yet it jarred. First, because if I'm honest, I don't think it was true. I am ambitious. Secondly, because I don't think that ambition is always a bad thing. Humility can easily become a sort of grovelling obsequiousness that we see in Charles Dickens' character Uriah Heep, who tells everyone, I'm ever so humble, but in reality is full of malice and hatred. Well, today, 25th of July, we celebrate an ambitious apostle, James, son of Zebedee. He is named after one of the Hebrew patriarchs, for James is the Greek form of the name Jacob. It was a popular name at this time, and to differentiate him from others, he is often called James the Great. Perhaps not an inappropriate name for such an ambitious man. James and his brother John were the first to be called by Jesus after Peter and Andrew. They'd worked for their father Zebedee in the fishing industry. Now Jesus had the naughty habit of giving his friends nicknames. Mark tells us that he calls these two the Thunder Boys, sons of thunder. These Thunder Boys were noisy, brash, and above all, ambitious. Luke gives us an example of this. Jesus and his friends are travelling through the multicultural district of Samaria. One evening they arrive, hot and tired, at a Samaritan village. But because they are travelling to Jerusalem, the villagers refuse to give them hospitality. The two brothers are furious and want God to strike down these unfriendly villagers with fire from heaven. Smite them, Lord. Jesus refuses, and they move on to find a more friendly village to spend the night. However, it gives us an idea of what the Thunder Boys were like. We may therefore be surprised to see that these two brothers, along with Peter, were the closest to Jesus. They're part of his inner circle. When Jesus heals Jairus' daughter, it is only James, John, and Peter whom he allows in the room. When Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, it is these three that he keeps close to him. At the Transfiguration, it is the same trio who accompany him up the mountain. Indeed, it may have been this event that sparked off James and John's ambitious hopes. They have seen Jesus revealed in his glory. In that transfiguring light, Jesus is seen accompanied by two men, Moses and Elijah. Well, if Moses and Elijah can share in Jesus' glory, why can't James and John? So a bit later on the journey, as they approach Jerusalem, they make their move to ensure that they have got the top seats at the table. This gospel writer, Matthew, is a bit embarrassed about this naked ambition. He changes the earlier account in Mark's gospel, so it's no longer James and John seeking power, but their mother. That's right, blame Mum. Declare these two sons of mine, one will sit at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom. She asks. She is imagining Jesus becoming a powerful king, ruling with his chief advisors by his side. That's not the kingdom that Jesus has in mind. He gently tries to enlighten them. James, John, can you drink the cup that I am to drink? They are eager to affirm they can. But it is the cup of suffering and not the cup of victory to which Jesus refers. Yes, Jesus continues, they will drink the cup. James especially will taste the same cup of suffering that Jesus must drink. Yet to sit at his right and left in his kingdom is not for them. This honour we reserve for two criminals. They will be on his right and on his left, seated not on thrones, but on crosses. Was James wrong to be ambitious? I suspect that Jesus knew exactly what he was doing when he chose ambitious James and pushy John. The problem is not with ambition in itself. The real question is, for what are we ambitious? Interestingly, 4 passages in the New Testament where ambition is condemned, each time it's selfish ambition which is denounced. Ambition itself means working with energy and determination for a particular target. James's problem was not that he was ambitious, but he was not ambitious enough. He is desiring trivial things, lesser things. James aims for power. Jesus wants him to aim higher and strive for service. James is ambitious for worldly splendour. Jesus wants him to have a greater ambition for the glory of the cross. James's target was to be top dog. Jesus wants a better target for James, that of being a child of the living God. Our first reading today from the book of Acts reminds us that in the end it's Jesus' ambition for James that are achieved and not James himself. Less than a decade after the crucifixion, King Herod begins a campaign against the young church. James is arrested and executed. James achieves the highest ambition of being the first apostle to share in Jesus' cup of suffering and thereby sharing the glory of the resurrection. Our trouble is not that we are ambitious, but that we are not ambitious enough. All too often we are ambitious for petty things, power, money, glory. Jesus inspires us to seek for a much higher goal, ambitious to be a good servant of God, ambitious to do God's will, ambitious to seek God's kingdom above all things. Pushy James had to learn to be ambitious for what really matters. By that apostles' prayers and example, let's do the same. Amen.